Charlie? Charlie, can you smell that? Can you smell smoke?
What's that?
Smoke.
I'll have another of those cigars if you're offering.
You. I'm sure that is smoke.
Listen to this. Conflagration in Paris. English newlyweds' terrible misfortune.
Charlie! Where do you want to? Help! Help me! Oh, what's the French for help? But, au secours! Somebody!
The inferno was already raging when Mr. and Mrs. Drayson attempted to escape from their room on the 5th floor of the hotel Les Rives du City.
Les Rives du Cité.
Thank you. However, the couple became separated in a crush of hysterical Parisians, many of the lower classes, who mobbed the escapes and staircases. Among these were to be seen several ladies still in their night attire. When Mrs. Drayson emerged into the street...
Au secours! Aidez-moi!
Madame, vous êtes sauvée. Vous vous sentez mal? Quelque chose de cassé?
My husband! Charlie, where is he? Have you seen him? Did he get out?
Madame, I know the...
Mon homme! My husband, he's still in there. Go find him. Get him out, mon homme.
Votre mari?
Oh, you stupid imbecile, I'll show you.
Madame, no. He is dead, madame, no.
Let me go!
Mrs. Drayson was only slightly injured. Her husband, the well-known financier...
Anglo-Mexican Copper Company, no less.
Well, no more. It says here, Mr. Charles Drayson was less fortunate than his bride of barely 3 weeks.
Oh, poor man.
Poor woman.
They tell me you have my husband here, monsieur.
You are Madame Drayson? Please to sign here and here.
Yet more paper? What does this mean?
That you have received this.
Is that all?
You will sign, madame, if you please. It is a good watch. It works still. I have wound it for you every day.
Where is he?
One more to sign, please. Here. And I stamp. This one is for you. Good day, madame.
May I not see him?
It is not important.
What?
No. It is not necessary.
Should I not identify my husband, his body?
You cannot, madame.
Is it against your rules, then? Or have you not got the right forms?
You will not identify your husband's body, madame. No one can. So little that remains. I am sorry.
She proceeded directly to the Seine and cast the watch into the black...
Shall I light another lamp?
The letters are dancing.
Oh, Paul.
Didn't the doctor say that was how we'd know?
But we can get another opinion.
I have my own opinion, Dorcas. My own eye's evidence, darling. I'm becoming like that dead man's watch. Wound, working, and cast into the darkness.
The Haverstock Hill Murder by George R. Sims. Dramatised for radio by Roger Danes. With Lucy Paterson as Dorcas Dene.
If I'd had more sense, I should have been a sculptor. Or even a musician, God forbid. For in a painter, blindness is not exactly a marketable asset. Oh, I tried to cope with it, for a time, as the night fell. Some of my bleary landscapes were compared to the great J.M.W. Turner. Unfavourably, but compared nonetheless. And my income, our income, progressed in inverse proportion, out of the black. Dorcas and I married on 700 or 800 a year. My prospects looked bright. Naturally, I insisted she leave the stage. Another mistake. Her 2 guineas a week as an actress would have paid the rent. But I was short-sighted then. Oh, to be that now.
Your ticket, please, sir? The front portion for Uxbridge, please.
There he is! I see him! Hold it! Stop it! That man there!
I think they're pointing at you, sir. Ridiculous. At me? Look here, you going to punch this ticket or not?
Just stay there! You are Charles Robert Hannaford of the Willows, Haverstock Hill.
I am. What of it?
Then, sir, you are under arrest for murder.
Hellfire murder? Don't be imbecilic. Of whom?
Oh, don't come me that.
How dare you?
Very well. Then, Mr. Charles Robert Hannaford, I'm arresting you on suspicion of the wilful murder of your wife, Mrs. Martha Jane Hannaford.
Hold him up, will you?
A man's guiding light is generally the woman he loves, and Dorcas is my star. When I fell in love with her, she was on the stage, a young and handsome woman, and playing an old hag. Well, the artist's eye saw through the disguise, no matter the actress's skill.
Paul, I'm off now. How do you think I look?
Are you dressed in all your finery?
I have taken considerable pains not to spoil my market value in the client's eye.
Then I think you look beautiful. May I touch?
There.
I was right.
What are you writing, dear?
Well, one day I hope to get your adventures up for a book. Or perhaps one for a magazine at this rate.
My dear Watson.
Well, it's the most pitifully slow going. These dots.
Read me.
Do you have time?
Mrs. Hannaford suggested 11 o'clock, and it's only Uxbridge.
The Haverstock Hill murder. This is your first capital crime, Dorcas.
I know. The mark of how corrupted I've become by my profession.
Don't talk rot, darling. It doesn't become you.
It's the truth, Paul. Didn't I say at the start I'd resign being a detective the moment it became at all repugnant to me?
Well, is it so at last?
I thought I meant it then.
If murder goes against your womanly instincts, Dorcas, clearly you must give it up.
I can't. There may be a dreadful miscarriage of justice. Mrs. declares positively that her son is innocent.
And is he?
No, Mrs. Dene. This is the way it is. A man marries a woman. After 7 years, they've likely done everything they're ever going to do. That's when he starts to look around again. That's when he starts to think about what life would be like as an experienced bachelor.
Yours is an exceedingly misanthropic attitude, Inspector.
Yes, well, be that as it may. It's how men are made.
Certain sorts of men, perhaps, Mr. Swanage.
Read the new books, Mrs. Dene. I'm only telling you the signs. But in what counts, my practical experience or my time in the Criminal Investigation Department, when a woman is murdered, 7 years into her marriage, it's the husband. Always the husband.
Utter rubbish. That man, that inspector, that police Swanage person, the kind of man to believe everybody harbouring some guilty secret, the kind of man for whom the whole world is one great chamber of horrors, with living figures instead of waxwork ones like Madame Tussaud.
Well, if the police were the fount of all wisdom, Mrs. Hannaford, there would be very little work left for a lady detective.
To be sure. Now, tell me, have you done many murders?
I beg your pardon?
My son, Mrs. Dene, has been already charged, arraigned, assized, and all but convicted of killing his own wife. That's the public mind. I don't hold with such melodramas. I never shall. The papers have written the most beastly things.
Are the printed accounts wrong, then?
I make no exaggeration, Mrs. Dene, when I tell you that my poor son has been turned into a penny dreadful.
It is rather a sensational case.
Well, it won't do your career any harm, my dear. Imagine, when you prove triumphantly my poor boy's innocence.
That may not be very easy, Mrs. Hannaford.
Fiddlesticks. I know how sensation works. You are the most celebrated lady detective in London.
Thank you.
That's not flattery. I'm too old-fashioned for it. When the so-called gentlemen of the press discover that you are on the case, well, there is a sensation.
I understood you to be against such stuff.
To be sure. But it will also be as good as a whole-page advertisement in every newspaper calling for new witnesses. And at less cost. I have calculated it to the halfpenny.
I'm not sure.
I can afford you for 3 weeks. Time enough. Plenty, in fact, to prove my son is as innocent as the babe unborn.
But it may not be possible.
Oh, don't say that. Chin up, Mrs. Dean. Then we're agreed on 3 weeks.
And thereafter?
My dear, he hangs.
Never a man who more deserved the drop, you ask me. Thank you, Mrs. Dean, I will. Off duty, understand.
Is mine...
Oh, just by your hand, Paul. Here.
Lord, how they stare. You're proper nobility, Mrs. Dean, round here.
Curiosity at a woman getting the drink, more likely.
Yeah, there's nothing to see. You send me out next time, it'll be all right.
If you want to get your pint, ask a policeman.
That's right, sir. Now, Mrs. Dean, the business. We don't see why you've taken this thing up down at the station. We really don't. And we've always held you in high regard.
Do you think I'm wasting my time?
Not to mention Mrs. Hannaford's money.
Well, yes. Yes, I do, to speak plain. No. Because he did it.
How can you be so certain?
Well, sir, it's exactly how I told it in Crowner's Court.
Now, Constable, you were on duty the night of January the 5th and first upon the scene. Is that so?
That's right, sir. I was approached by a panicking female, the maidservant there who was just here before me. She was calling murder all over.
And how many other witnesses were there present at this time?
There was a few people passing who took an interest, but I soon told them off. Nothing to see, and no doubt they have work to go to.
So, after thus disposing of the witnesses, what then did you do?
I turned my attention to the female, sir. She was hysterical generally. Fetch a policeman, she's saying. Fetch a policeman, over and over. And on being informed that I was a policeman, she takes me straight back into the house with her.
Stop that sniggering there at the back, or I will have you removed. Go on.
In the drawing room, there was this lady,
Mrs. Hannaford,
lying in her nightdress in the centre of the room, covered with blood.
What did you do then, Constable?
Have you sent for a doctor? Oh. No, of course you haven't. Cut away now and get one here quick. And get one of your pals to run down to the police station and fetch back my superintendent. And bring some water, not too cold, and a cloth, now!
Are you still alive, Mum? Oh, the blood's everywhere. I'm going to have to wash... Oh, who did this to your Mum? Are you trying to tell me?
Husband.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite...
Husband. Charles.
Your husband did this?
Charles.
And is he still here? Mum?
They were the only words she spoke?
Yes, sir. Husband, Charles. The doctor attended pretty soon after and declared that Mrs. Hannaford was dying. And by that time, I had blood all over.
And it was you found the weapon also?
Between the fireplace and the body, yes. It was a poker.
Was that what you expected?
Well, it was fairly obvious the lady's injuries had been inflicted with some bluntish, heavy instrument. We found blood on it, of course.
You said there was blood everywhere, though.
So I did, Mrs. Dean. But there was also some hair on the poker from the unfortunate lady's head. And that says bashing to me, especially when you can match the holes up.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hargreaves.
Begging your pardon, Mrs. Dean. But you see all sorts in modern police work that maybe a lady detective's too nice to soil her hands with. Still and all, when a murder victim's obliging enough to point you towards the man as did it...
Mr. Charles Hannaford.
He would have been the first port of call in any case. Especially with what the servants gave us out.
You're just being impossible, Charles. I've worn the same dress to 3 in a row of your business gatherings.
If I don't notice, I don't see why anyone else should.
Their wives notice. They think you're a poor catch indeed, and that's what I can't stand.
How many times must you be told, Martha, when business is not good, it behoves us all to make the necessary economies?
Well, I cannot any longer.
You mean will not?
Haven't I got enough trouble without your making matters ever worse?
I should never have been like this before I married you.
Then leave! Get out and you'll save me a packet of money there and then!
I will not. May I remind you that this is my house? Mine, Charles. And if anyone's to get out...
Will you never stop? How well do I know even the ground I stand upon is not mine? That you may snatch it away from under my feet on a whim? That only your death can give me a home?
You were quarrelling.
Yes.
High words, I'm told. It wasn't the first time either, was it?
Who says so?
The housemaid who came out to fetch me, who on coming down to light the morning fires found your wife's body. Not that it was a body at that time, not properly speaking.
Thank you, Hargreaves.
Sir.
Now, Mr. Hannaford, look, you're an intelligent gentleman. A man is overheard reminding his wife how he might benefit from her demise, and not 2 hours later, a very sad event does indeed occur. Now, what are we to think?
Very well. I will make a statement voluntarily.
You're aware that what you say could be used against you in evidence?
Could it?
Well, it depends upon what you say, sir.
For instance, why did you flee your house in the middle of the night?
I found I couldn't sleep after the words we'd had.
High words, angry words, your housemaid tells us.
She had no right to listen. I'll have her dismissed.
You're unlikely at present to have that opportunity.
The quarrel was about a purely domestic matter, but... things have not been going my way recently.
I'd say that was pretty obvious.
I've not been well. I admit I'm irritable, nervous. The markets have been against me. I'm a stock jobber by profession, and, well, to tell the truth, I've been losing fairly heavily.
You were heard to speak of your wife's death. Did you threaten her?
Of course not. I spoke in principle. What kind of a man do you take me for?
The fact is, Hannerford, I take you for a murderer.
No, I wasn't even in the house when it happened.
Constable Hargreaves was on duty close to your house last night. Isn't that right, Hargreaves?
And still am on duty, sir, 16 hours later.
Did you notice this man in the street at all? At about, 2 o'clock, when he claims to have quit the house?
There was 1 or 2 known characters abroad last night, sir, but I can't say I saw this one.
He must have passed you at some time, though, since he wasn't at home when we searched for him. Can you believe, Hannaford, we thought you might be a suicide after the event?
Possibly slipped around me, sir. My attention distracted by the murder of his wife.
You're mocking me.
I was never more serious.
You have to believe me. I spent this morning wandering the streets. I was entirely innocent, ignorant even of my wife's... of my wife's death.
You may be sure the blubbering didn't wash with us, Mrs. Dean. Mr. Swanage and me, we've seen it all before.
That much is all too evident.
You didn't investigate Mr. Hannaford's version of events.
He himself said there was no witnesses to these nocturnal perambulations. He was claiming to have wandered about in a daze until daybreak when he took breakfast in a coffee house.
Somebody must have seen him there.
Indeed. Which was 5 hours after the crime, Mrs. Dean. Some alibi, begging your pardon. At 9, he took a cab to Paddington, intending to go and see his mother in Uxbridge as if nothing had happened.
Perhaps nothing had happened, so far as he knew.
Yes, you're free to believe that if you wish.
Was there anything missing from the house?
A good question. Not a thing. Except the husband, of course.
Mr. Hargreaves, did you not mention seeing other known characters on your beat that night?
None that was likely to have a finger in this affair.
Notwithstanding that, whom did you see?
Don't know for the life of me what's up with the G's today.
You've been done brown by a tail picture, my dear. That's what.
That's all my eye. If ever a horse was pulled, I just seen it there. 3-to-1 favourite, and me with 100 on it.
You've been done brown, dearie, just as I said.
And what do you know?
Horse flesh, mostly.
Suppose it's in the blood.
Look 'em in the eye, my dear. Never mind the coat, the grooming. The prime-hined coulters have seduced many a poor fool.
Let's keep on the horses, shall we?
They're just like people, my dear. Look 'em in the eye, as I'm looking at you. That's the way to tell what they're really worth.
You're making me feel more uncomfortable than I was before. Take your race cards off to somebody else.
Tell your fortune, fine gentleman.
Cut along or you fill me boot.
You've no respect for age, Flesh George.
Nah, nor for sex neither. What did you call me? What? Hey! You come back now.
Bet's closed now. All bet's closed.
tell your fortune, fine gentleman.
And Dorcas Dene was Madame McRomany, a splendidly observed performance and a tragic loss to the stage.
To the racecourse as well. I was seen off the premises at Kempton Park. An overbearing policeman objected to the price of my race cards.
Oh, the dishonour of being supported by a wife who sells race cards.
I could put you on the streets at any time, dear. Should you wish, you'd make an excellent blind beggar.
Be more than halfway there. And were you successful at work today, Dorcas?
I was. I have found Mr. Flash George.
I knew you would.
Not entirely the seedy loafer of Constable Hargreaves' description. Rather the sportsman. Beautifully dressed, grey of hair. A trustworthy gentleman from the tips of his fingers to perhaps the first knuckle. He rather neatly seduced a certain theatre critic into handing over a £5 to put on a dead cert.
A theatre critic voluntarily parting with cash.
One sees such phenomena as a lady detective.
Did you put him right?
My dear, he's a theatre critic. He's panned me more than once. Yeah, even Flash George has to live.
But duty, Dorcas.
Yes, I'm an honest woman. I got Barabbas his £5 back by picking Flash George's pocket. Quite a full pocket, as it happened.
Odd. Last I heard of Flash George, he was hard up, borrowing from some of his pals.
Well, he's evidently in funds at present, Mr. Swanage, judging from his new get-up.
That may be. I have missed him lately.
Inspector, has Flash George always been one of the boys at the racecourses?
On and off. He's been on a number of different lays, though. We had him watched for quite a time when he was mixed up in a big jewel case.
Perhaps that's where he's derived his present funds.
There was £10,000 in diamonds taken. Maybe he merits another look.
He stole that much?
No. Handled the sparklers. Got rid of them for the proper thieves. But not... Flash George is a talker, not a handyman.
Constable Hargreaves saw him close to the willows in Haverstock Hill. What could he have been doing there, on the night of Martha Hannaford's murder?
Standing under a street lamp, smoking a quiet pipe, I collect.
You don't believe that, Inspector.
Do you?
I worry that there's such an entire absence of motive at the heart of the business.
Well, that isn't what the police say.
Those police. They have fixed upon poor Charles from the very beginning.
To Swanage, Mr. Hannaford must seem particularly damned by his flight from the scene.
It was not in any sense a flight. He was coming to see me.
Was he in the habit of so doing?
Of late. I dare say you like to see your own mother from time to time. Oh, my dear Mr. Dean, I'm so sorry.
Please, it's long since ceased to embarrass me, Mrs. Hannaford. Your son was in need of someone sympathetic to talk to.
Charles has not been well. The police are making mighty free with that in their craven attempts to bring him down. I call it shameful.
The printed reports have him as mercurial by nature.
Merely another way of saying he did for his wife. A sudden fit of homicidal mania, if you please.
But there was a quarrel that night.
There were quarrels all the time. My son's wife, that woman, was she was incapable of living a decent, respectable existence.
Mrs. Hannaford, if we are to prove your son's innocence, we must be able to counter the accusations against him. Now, my dear Paul is here to remind me constantly of those weak points in our case. As the devil's advocate, he is invaluable to me.
Oh, to be sure, Mrs. Dean, you know your own business best.
No one else inside the house can be found to have any motive for this murder. And how do we explain away Constable Hargreaves' evidence that Martha named Mr. Hannaford?
We must presume she was asking for him, not accusing him.
But this was in reply to the direct question, who did this to you?
She was dying, Paul. She may not even have heard what Hargreaves was asking.
I can tell grasping at straws when I hear it.
Was Martha terrified by your son, as the police suggest?
Preposterous notion.
What did you mean when you said she was incapable of living a decent, respectable existence?
I never said that.
Forgive me, but you did just now.
Well, perhaps. It may be I'm too old to mind my tongue.
It's a serious thing to say of another woman.
she would not be quiet. That is all I meant.
She didn't know her place?
She was dramatic.
Dorcas is unlikely to see that as a fault, Mrs. Hannaford.
I was on the stage, he means.
To be sure. Then you will know, my dear, the kind of plays so popular to modern taste. Martha would have fitted into them perfectly.
And how's that?
Charles was not her first husband. She was a young widow when he met her. He, a man of 36, with a position, an expectancy.
How long had she been widowed?
3 years. So the funeral meets didn't untimely furnish forth the bridal, you know what I mean. Martha's first did not exactly leave her well off. No, he'd had the foresight to settle on her the house.
Then the Willows does not belong to your son?
There are those who think the Married Women's Property Act a highly misguided piece of legislation.
It's an invidious position for a man to be in his wife's debt. I should know.
My son allowed himself to be ruled by women. Holding the deeds to the Willows, Martha wished to continue living there.
You were against the match.
Oh, well, who can now say to my face I wasn't right? It is an unlucky house. She was an unlucky woman. Widowed on her first honeymoon. And that man was a bad lot. It was revealed post-mortem that he was no better than a fraudster. Heavily in debt. Dramatic, you see.
So, had her first husband lived?
Oh, Drayson would undoubtedly have gone to prison. As it was, only Thomas Carter was taken up. He got 5 years penal servitude for his part, whilst the senior partner became a pile of ashes in Paris.
You think Drayson saw the crash coming?
That much seems evident. Or he would not have made the point of settling his house upon his then fiancée.
Promptly, on their honeymoon, to perish in an hotel fire. Spectacularly and publicly.
Not to mention completely. He was identified only by his watch.
Dorcas, I think we may be in danger of plotting one of Mrs. Hannaford's despised melodramas.
If Charles Hannaford did not kill his wife, we must find somebody else who did.
But Drayson alive would be absurd.
Penny dreadful to a degree. However, it is possible.
It is also implausible. And then, where has he been these last 10 years?
The supposition will be easy enough to prove one way or the other. After all, there's only one possible living candidate.
That's not him.
Look again. Try the glasses.
I'm telling you, it isn't him.
It has been a long time, Mr. Carter.
Do you seriously think I wouldn't know the man who took away my life for 5 years? Who was my partner for 7 before that? Who had all my money and used it to defraud others while I stood by and took the fall for him when it all crashed? I suppose I deserved it for being a fool. But don't add insult to injury, Mrs. Dene.
Very well. I can't say you've made my life easier, Mr. Carter.
Drayson never made anyone's life easier. And if you're looking for him, you'll look forever, Mrs. Dene. Believe me, that was no fraud of all the things he did. The hotel burned and Drayson, God rot his soul, he burned with it.
I'm not to be put off.
Your fortitude is admirable, Dorcas. All I can see is our favourite lost at Sandown.
You really think it bad the Penny Dreadful plot is not to be? No, I thought not. We stick to the plausible, my dear. Flash George is still the key that unlocks this mystery, I know it.
Then so do I.
To that end, I'm off to a nightclub of evil repute. I shall be late.
Answer me, Dorcas. What respectable man would permit his wife to do as you do?
You're not a respectable man. You're an artist.
I was a respectable artist.
Of course you were.
This nightclub, I suppose it's illegal.
Certainly.
Gambling?
That may well be. I understand Flash George is a regular plunger.
Who are you going as?
Mrs. Goldschmidt, I am bringing the table d'hôte for your gentleman. See? Thank you, Jack. Can I offer you a kartoffel puffer?
Give me another. Come on, my luck's as good as my credit tonight.
Who has ordered here's a stew?
I will match that, and with 20 guineas more to add.
Is this Irish too? Who please has ordered?
Show your hand, Rinaldi, if you
No.
dare. Come along now.
Sir, did you order?
What?
A table d'hôte from Goldschmidt, sir. I have Irish stew for
No,
you.
me, I never eat when I'm working.
No? Oh, it is good. Yes, sir. Smell.
Will you get away from me, you damned...
Oh,
Oh,
wer
Oh,
I beg 1,000 pardons. Here I have
damn me, woman.
Yes, sir, the
A quiet game of cards ruined, and I was on a run of luck. Hey, Rinaldi, that hand is void, damn your eyes. Will you stop pawing at me, woman?
Oh, the pocketbook.
What?
It must also be
My
mine.
wallet, let it alone.
Oh, have no fear, mein Herr. Your money is as safe as the Bank of England, but dry it must be.
Will you leave that notes alone, blast you? Give them here.
No, there is stew here.
You want me to slap you, stupid?
Oh, you will not strike me.
Get out of my sight.
You will regret this, mein Herr, when you are hungry later. So, go.
So, you come back.
Du sprichst richtig, Liebling. And I am, as they say in the sensational detective stories, definitely on the track.
Thank you. I shall use that.
Dear Watson.
I take it Flash George was there?
Not only present, but in possession of a number of banknotes, each of £100.
You didn't pick his pocket again. Oh, you did?
This is the same Flash George who, a few weeks ago, needed to borrow a couple of sovereigns from a pal because he was stony broke. Yet he appears now as a racing man in a fur coat, betting in £100 notes.
A run of luck.
He's evidently a considerably richer man after the murder than he was before.
Post hoc, ergo propter hoc?
Paul, he was seen there by a police constable.
Nothing was taken from the Hannaford's house.
Well, we shall see.
You have a plan?
While I was busy wiping stew from Flash George's banknotes... No, don't ask. I was able to take a couple of the numbers. Tomorrow, Paul, I think we should go to the bank.
I own it's curious, but there are plenty of more remarkable coincidences occurring daily.
It is the most common of motives, dear. Money. Since Martha Hannaford became a widow, not one of her former husband's banknotes has been seen.
But we know he didn't leave her well off. Well, if I were dead, you'd hardly be hoarding any money of mine as a keepsake.
You don't have any.
You're assuming that.
But you're assuming Martha knew she had Drayson's money.
I'm not. Because if she did, she would have spent it. So she probably didn't have it. I mean, she was certainly not murdered for it. Because there were no such signs in the house. No breaking in, no ransacking.
Oh, mind the step up here. Let's consider a second coincidence. Soon after Martha Hannaford's murder, the money begins to reappear. Is that extraordinary?
Well, banknotes circulate, Dorcas. That's what they're for. They may have been passing through any number of hands before they returned to the bank.
All 50 of them. Paul, these are notes for £100. When did you last have one?
That's a low blow.
That's why they're so easily traced and generally so hard to steal.
Very well. I bow to the force of your argument.
The notes are being cleverly and professionally worked. Around the betting rings and gambling clubs. I'm told some have come in from money changers in Paris and Rotterdam. I believe before very long the whole of these notes, all £5,000, will come back to the bank.
We must go to Inspector Swanage at once. Tell him to find the man who's circulating the notes, because he must be the murderer. What? Dorcas, listen. Legally, that's by far the wisest thing.
Oh, my dear. If everybody did the legal thing and the wise thing, there'd be very little work left for a lady detective.
Nothing has been disturbed here since the night of... Since that night. Every door locked. The plate all complete. Not a bit of jewellery or anything is missing.
Where are the servants?
Paid off. Except for Edwards here.
And the gardener, sir. Mum.
You understand the late Mrs. Hannaford's solicitors have given me permission to go over the whole house?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to start by making a thorough examination of the room in which the murder was committed.
Wouldn't it be better to be tracing Flash George?
No, Paul, it really wouldn't.
Who is this Flash George person?
A bad lot, at
But he is not the murderer, Mrs. Hannaford.
Well, then, how is he involved?
I'm not yet sure. I have carried out my investigations up to a certain point with him, and there, for the moment, they stop short. I know where he lives. I know who are his companions.
Then is the murderer among them?
No.
You're very definite about negatives, to be sure.
If you would open the drawing-room door, Mr. Edwards, please.
Very well, ma'am.
Where is the bedroom in which Mr. Hannaford and his wife slept?
On the floor above, Mum. You turn right at the top of the stairs, and it's the third door.
Would you show my husband the way, please?
Top of the stairs, sir.
Unfortunately, Mr. Edwards.
Ah, right you are, sir. If you'll take an arm here, it's this way.
Paul, I want you to shut the door and lie down on the bed. Listen, and call out directly you notice any noise from the drawing room here.
Shall I leave the gentleman upstairs, Mum?
It would very much help if you would rejoin me and Mrs. Hannaford.
Right you are, Mum. The stairs start here, sir.
So, the drawing room. This is where the body was found.
I think someone's walking over my grave.
Now, the police case is that Martha's murder was the result of her quarrel with your son.
Poppycock and fiddlesticks.
That Martha, terrified by Mr. Hannaford's behaviour, rose up in the night and ran down the stairs to here. That he followed her, picked up the poker.
It's gone. For evidence.
The shovel will do. And he, bang, furiously attacked her. She fell, apparently lifeless. He ran back to the bedroom, dressed himself, and quickly and quietly made his escape.
The gentleman's having his lie down now, Mum.
Close the door, Mr. Edwards. We have some noise to make.
It's quiet. The natives are not restless. I heard that. Dorcas! I heard that!
We have solved one mystery, that of the servants in the night time.
What do they ever do at night?
I was puzzled that the police have always insisted Mr. Hannaford struck his wife down at the climax of a violent argument. Yet none of the servants heard a thing.
The Willows has always been a rare house for quiet, Mum.
It is one thing to recommend it, then.
The three of us have been moving about the drawing room as noisily as we could manage.
I've certainly heard nothing of it.
Until I sent Mr. Edwards to open the front door.
Well, that's the first thing I did hear.
So, did this door always make such a sound?
Oh, yes, Mum. It's got swollen or warped or some such way long ago.
That woman would not have it eased, I suppose.
This is the noise which brought the murdered woman downstairs in her nightdress.
When Hannaford went out, it gets us no further.
On the contrary, Mr. Hannaford went out in a rage. He would have pulled the door open violently, banged it to as well in all probability. And that she would have expected. That she would have understood.
She would have enjoyed it.
It was when the door opened again later, with that sharp crack. Then she listened. She thought her husband had come back.
But she was murdered in a drawing room.
Of course. She expected him to come upstairs, but he didn't. What would she think?
She would imagine him to be sulking, no doubt, depriving her of her scene.
Let us be charitable and suggest that she got up and came down to find him, to ask him to get over his temper and to come back to bed. She went into the drawing room to see if he was there and was struck down from behind, but before she had time to utter a cry.
So the servants heard nothing because there was nothing to hear?
I believe so.
Begging your pardon, Mum, but none of this. Says it wasn't the poor master as did it.
On the contrary. There would have been oaths, cries. The poor lady would have received a rain of blows.
The servants, even 2 floors above, they couldn't have failed to hear that.
And the medical evidence shows conclusively that death resulted from one single heavy blow on the back of the skull.
Well, in that case, where was the murderer?
Come with me, Paul. Martha Hannaford's body was found in the very centre of this room. So she could have seen no one in here when she opened the door. Or she would not have ventured in.
To be sure.
Paul, there's an ornamental table covered in bric-a-brac in front of one window. And the other is obstructed by a large settee.
Could he have moved them to hide?
It's not the hiding, it's the getting back out to crush the woman's skull. She would have screamed and rushed out of the room before he'd cleared the... No. We must find some other place for our assassin.
But he might have been hiding in the hall and followed her in.
No, because our intruder must have secured the poker from this fireplace the moment he heard his victim coming down the stair.
But if he could conceal himself, Dorcas, why shouldn't he have remained hidden until she had gone? Why murder her at all?
I wonder. The lamp. Mr. Edwards?
It were here before my time, Mum.
Are you suggesting a man can conceal himself behind a lamp?
It's a large stuffed brown bear, my dear. Here. It's made to look as if it's climbing a pole, at the top of which is an oil lamp.
It's enormous.
Nasty beast. I'm sure my poor Charles would have got rid of it had he been properly master of his own house.
I thought it used to be right up against the wall, though.
Oh. That's interesting, Mr. Edwards. Stay there, Paul. This has been moved. Not so long ago, either.
Right.
There's a lighter colour of parquet here behind it, which exactly matches the mahogany base on which this bear is standing. Paul, can you squeeze in here behind the thing?
Do with me as you will, my dear.
Stand as compact as you can. Now, Mrs. Hannaford, if you could go to the hall doorway, a little down with the right shoulder, Paul.
Oh, now I cannot see Mr. Dene at all.
The fire irons are within easy reach of the bear. So our murderer was already concealed and armed when Martha came in.
I couldn't move this thing in a hurry, you know. I mean, if I were in need of a spur-of-the-moment hiding place, it's too heavy.
And rattling the lamp glass like that, even Martha would be suspicious.
Hey, what's this?
Mr. Edwards, help me move the bear, if you please.
Sure.
Oh.
The thing is hollow.
So it is. A cunning piece of work, too. The aperture is quite invisible amid the fur.
Aha. It would take a blind man to spot it.
How fortunate we are, then.
Is it a hiding place?
It must be. Where the missing banknotes lay concealed.
This is the first I've heard of such things. Banknotes?
£5,000, Mrs. Hannaford.
Mercy me.
That much money? Yet she always said there were difficulties come quarter day.
Here, in the brown bear's back, lay Mr. Drayson's little nest egg. But his death in Paris prevented the money being touched for more than 10 years.
Well, I imagine he settled the house on his new bride solely to protect the money, then. Ah, young love.
Well, he can't have told Martha about it. That woman would have it speedily removed and spent to the last penny.
Someone must have found out right enough.
Exactly so. And that someone put his practical knowledge to use, because Martha Hannaford lost both the money and her life.
Flash George. It must be.
No, I do not believe it is.
Dorcas, you must not keep eliminating the possible suspects. You'll end up agreeing with Swanage if you're not careful.
And I'm not paying you to condemn my boy, Mrs. Dene.
Look, Flash George is in it up to the hilt. He was seen outside. He's been passing some of the very banknotes.
But he didn't do it, Paul. For one thing, how could he get in?
Well, if I may venture, Mum, perhaps the mistress let him in herself.
That's very well, Edwards. Let us say then, Flash George knew of the money and where it was hidden.
How?
He gave his victim to understand he would help her to it. She, being in want of money, acquiesced, and he killed her to have it.
Struck down from behind, all unsuspecting like that.
Oh, my Watsons! My Watsons! Very good. You have a plausible solution to the problem of entry, but your theory runs on to deny utterly what must have happened.
How's that?
If Martha were her murderous accomplice, what possible need would there be for him to hide behind the brown bear lamp? They would together have moved the thing, swung it round, and the evidence would have been obvious even to the police.
But if he killed her...
No, Paul. If Martha were killed before the bear was rifled, there would still be no need for concealment.
But...
Paul, I said no. If you want the clearest evidence for Flash George's not having done it, it is because I have seen the murderer myself.
You?
With my own eyes. Though I didn't realise until this morning that it must be him.
When did you see this man?
2 nights ago, by the Criterion Theatre.
Thought you said any profits had been mine to keep.
Why, so I did, George, within reason, though.
The matches, sir.
But
Best
you
you
see,
can
it's an
get.
embarrassment to me. You will keep making rather than passing the money.
Pass some of it my way, gents. Come along, you know you need a light from time to time.
Let us get by, girl.
A penny, sir. Look, I've only got a few left. A penny and I can go home.
I'll
early
call a
for
policeman
once,
on you.
eh?
See you taken up for begging.
How dare you? I'm no beggar.
We're no gentlemen.
Oh.
Now cut along, you, and sharp.
All right, let's make an end of the business, shall we? Hungerford Bridge, midnight on Wednesday. If you bring the rest, I'll give you cash for the lot. 17 bob to the pound.
17?
Take it or leave it. Me and you need never cross paths again. And I, for one, will be grateful.
You said then your performance of the little match girl met with less than the full approbation of your public.
But who was the man?
I think we shall discover tonight. I plan to be an unwelcome guest at their rendezvous on Hungerford Bridge.
You be careful, Mum.
Oh, don't worry, Edwards. Dorcas will not be alone. You will not be alone, Dorcas.
It's only if you're right, Mum. This other devil is already killed.
If what I suspect is true, Mr. Edwards, he has killed more than once.
I don't know where she's got to.
It was definitely at this end of the bridge, Inspector, that she said we were to wait.
Yes, not so loud with the inspector, if you please.
I don't see anybody else about.
That's not the point, Mr. Carter. I don't want to scare anybody off. On the other hand, we may not need to.
I don't take your meaning.
Would you come out to pass stolen money around with a witness like that?
Tell me a tune to play, signore. I have many songs. Here, my list.
Not now.
Hello, Mrs. Dene.
What?
Do you see anyone here you like, perhaps?
Not yet.
Well, there is a one, there.
I don't recognise that one.
Well, I do. Even so well disguised. I am not mistaken.
Is that so, signore? Well, let us play on. If you will say no tune, I shall go ask this signore instead.
I can't permit that. If this is the one we think... Oh, blast the woman. Never get involved with lady detectives, Carter. They're the very devil.
Help! Help me, someone!
Come on!
What?
What the...
He was going to suicide himself.
Nothing of the kind.
All right, sir. We've got you now.
The gentleman was just about to jump into the water.
Try that again.
No, you don't.
Oh, Dio mio! His beard!
You false villain. You false as this filthy stage hair.
Carter, my dear fellow.
Who are you?
Who is he?
Why don't you tell them then, Carter?
This is the villain brought me to ruin. My precious partner, Charles Drayson.
Look, there's the other one.
It's all up, Flashy. Run for your life.
Stop him! Arrest that man! Stop him!
Inspector, help us!
Don't do it, Dayson! Come you back down, now!
I thought, perhaps, to call it The Man Who Died Twice.
That would rather give the mystery where to start, Paul.
True. And pity 'tis true. Writing's harder than art, I can tell you.
No, Paul, it's just a different art. Detecting. Now that's hard.
Well, Mrs. Dene, I have to congratulate you. Mr. Carter has formally identified the body.
There is no doubt. It is Charles Drayson.
When will you be sending to release Mr. Hannaford, Inspector?
That's already in hand.
There's a nice artistic symmetry in Drayson perishing, first by fire and then by water.
Neither fate is much to be desired. I imagine Flash George has been able to paint in some of our unfinished background?
Oh, yes. Of course, he knew Drayson had gone into the Thames, so being something of a plunger himself, yes, he reckoned he could put all the blame onto a dead man.
That hotel fire was a lucky accident. For Charlie, I mean. That is the man I know now to be Charles Drayson.
Martha, where the devil are you? Martha!
He'd had a letter that day from London. Told him pretty plainly his game was up, and he knew any moment the French police might come and get him.
Martha! Oh, dear God, what's this?
He stumbled across a man unconscious in a corridor, overcome by the smoke, most like. As Drayson nearly was himself by then. Charlie saw his chance. Put the whole lot on a rank outsider.
I don't know who you are, and I don't care. You're done for, and I will be. Oh, where's your pocketbook? A few francs, but a free will gift I won't despise. Anything else to know you by?
Charlie had an inscribed watch, so he broke the habit of a lifetime by giving it away.
There. And with all my heart thanks, you've got me out of a hole, Mr. Charles Drayson.
And the next day, there he was, sitting in the warmth of a Paris cafe and reading his name amongst the victims. And I take my hat off to Charlie for that, Inspector, if not for all the other business.
Drayson lived for several years as best he could on the continent, growing a little poorer each day. By the end of last year, he'd come to desperate straits.
But Charles Drayson was ever a bold man.
An utterly dishonourable man.
That too.
He determined to alleviate his own poverty once for all by risking the return to England.
I wish I'd known in advance of his coming. I'd have put a stop to all this before it even started.
Mr. Drayson was naturally careful to avoid any such thing. He intended simply to obtain possession of the money lying unsuspected inside that brown bear lamp.
While Flash George, innocently smoking his quiet pipe, was keeping watch for his pal.
Exactly so. And Drayson simply let himself into his former home using his own latchkey. He was moving the heavy lamp to one side when he heard the footsteps on the stair. He quickly possessed himself of the banknotes and, concealed as he was, reached out to grasp the poker from the fireplace.
Charles? Charles, is that you? You back home again at last?
How did you know it was me, Martha?
They must have looked at each other in horror, he with the weapon, ready to strike, and she, confronted by a dead man. Who can imagine what she must have thought?
Martha?
And she turned away. And he struck her down.
He feared she was going to alarm the house, according to Flash George. He only wanted to render her senseless until he'd escaped with the money.
She wouldn't even have been there if it hadn't been for the quarrel. And Hannaford's quitting the house in a fit of pique.
One should never quarrel, Paul. Drayson couldn't know there was no angry man in the house for him to deal with. The Hannaford's row was one of those pieces of fortune which occasionally favour the wicked.
Yes, and do for the innocent.
Well, it sounds as though Mr. Charles Hannaford has proved that.
Evidently. Notwithstanding which, you were also right all along, Inspector.
How's that?
It was the vital clue, though to my shame I understood it so late.
Who did this to you, Mom?
Husband.
The dying woman said,
Charles.
Both Martha's men were named Charles.
When a woman is murdered, It's the husband. Always the husband.
I thought then of my dear Paul and gave you the lie.
Perhaps I am the exception that proves the rule.
Well, perhaps you are. In this case, the inspector had it right. It was the husband, just the wrong husband.
In The Haverstock Hill Murder, Dorcas Dene was played by Lucy Paterson, Paul Dene by Greg Powrie, Mrs. Hannaford, Edith Macarthur, Inspector Swanage, Finlay McLean, P.C. Hargreaves, Mark McDonnell, Charles Hannaford, Nick Farr, Flash George, Terry Wale, and Martha Drayson, Noreen Leighton. The Haverstock Hill Murder was written by George R. Sims and dramatised for radio by Roger Danes. It was directed by David Ian Neville and produced by Patrick Rayner.